Hello YouTube, Great RJ1 here, and today I'll be showing you how to play Emperor Palpatine in Battlefront 2015. So yeah, we'll get right into it. To start off, we'll begin with his health. Now, despite his health bar showing 100 health, he actually has 1200 health, which is very near the average health of the normal Battlefront 2015 heroes, which is 1000, but this by no means makes him a low health weak hero like, well, a low health hero like either Greedo or Boba Fett. This health is actually pretty good for him and makes him feel like he has much more than he actually does. His trait is called the Master. This allows him to regain his lightning stamina back right a couple seconds after he's finished. Well, a couple seconds every couple seconds, and recharges lightning. This goes from 9% at the start, and you can gain this by killing an enemy trooper or by damaging heroes. Then it goes up to 18%, and then finally 25% at max. However, to keep in mind, as it is going to go down, so you want to keep on attacking or damaging heroes and attacking enemies, so you do want to keep that in mind. Keep in mind this is a guide for heroes versus villains, so if you're not here for that, then you may want to click off now. His attack is the Force Lightning. It's a short ranged attack, and it also deals quite high damage, so make sure you're using this as much as you can when you get into combat. Unless you need to quickly get an enemy with chain lightning, then you should be using your main lightning attack, especially against heroes. So yeah, this attack you should really be using chain lightning, but for a situation which I'll get onto it right after I finish off with the block. So like Luke and Vader, he can block enemy fire, and Luke's lightsaber, and like how Luke can block Vader's saber and Vader can block Luke's. You can also block blaster bolts, however you cannot block things that have splash damage or are projectiles. So you cannot block the cyclo rifle, any kind of explosive shots, and he can also not block the scattergun, so do keep that in mind. He cannot block those things. And he also, however, he cannot deflect things like Luke and Vader, so keep that in mind. His block is mainly just a way to defend yourself when you need it, and you can't use your jump. However, there is a unique thing to this that Luke can't do, and Vader can. But it's not exactly unique if Vader can, but still. And that is that he can block Luke's normal lightsaber attacks in the air. So try and use this as much as you can. Now his chain lightning. This is a burst of lightning that has more range than its normal one. That goes onto multiple enemies in its range, and it will one-shot all normal troopers. And it's mainly good for either trying to finish off an enemy hero, stun a Luke, or to damage a hero from a distance in Heroes vs Villains, which is what this hero guide is for. Now, his middle ability, in Chain Lightning has an 11-second cooldown. His middle ability is his hero health pickup Imperial Resources. This makes him drop health for him and his teammates, as well for his enemies. Enemies can take his health, so you want to keep that in mind. Enemies can take Palpatine's health from him, like how Leia can have her health taken by the villains. Palpatine can have his health taken by the rebels, so you want to keep that in mind. However, you should only ever drop this health for when you need it. Don't drop it at a random point of the game. Drop it for yourself or your teammates. That way it can't get stolen by the enemies. And make sure you don't drop it while you're engaged in combat. Make sure you're away from combat, especially away from Luke, because if they're close up, that's going to prove big problems. So yeah. Now his last ability, dash. This will make him go with a force dash. This will make him travel a far distance that's not usually faster than any other hero, other than I think Luke or Luke's swing saber wish. So do keep that in mind. I think that's the only thing that can keep up with Palpatine in this. So yeah. Now this has a 10-second cooldown, and the health also has a 24-second cooldown. So now we can get into the strategies, now that we know all the basic things for Palpatine. Now Palpatine, he's a very simple hero. He can also block for 6 seconds, by the way, forgot to mention that. So yeah. Now he's a very simple hero to play. He requires very little skill if you know what you're doing, just not so little that you're doing nearly nothing. Basically, his whole point of gameplay is to make sure you play in a form where he's a support hero. He should always be played as a support hero, otherwise he will struggle. This is very important when it comes to Palpatine. If he is not playing the way he should be played, aka a support hero, he's going to be having big trouble when it comes to fighting heroes. My best recommendation for fighting heroes, which is what this one is for, in fighting for heroes versus villains, so technically fighting heroes, you should always be jumping about the hero, and that gives you the best way to fight them. This is harder to do against Luke. I'm still trying to figure out how to kill him, because it's much harder to kill a Luke with this jumping about strategy, and I don't think it's very hard to if he's not playing correctly. So yeah, however, he can be killed in a 1v1. You can kill Luke in a 1v1, I mean. Now, never try and engage in a 1v1 with Luke. It's not going to end well. Same, and he can handle Chewbacca and Lando much better, but they also pose big threats for Palpatine. So I do not recommend trying to engage in combat with them unless you have to. Lando is probably the easiest to kill out of these three, because if he does not have his power blast and he's caught up close and can't get to a slope piece of ground in time, he will be killed fast, because he can't do that roll glitch thing which allows him to get a ton of distance. Now Palpatine, like I said, just jump about the enemy, and you should have a good and easy time killing that enemy. So yeah, he's meant to be played in a fast way. He should be played with his teammates and be used. So now go over so yeah, basically always make sure you're jumping about your teammates. Now I'll go over how to use the basics things to their full advantage. Sorry, getting my words mixed up. Normal lightning attack, always use this for when you are needing to attack. Always use this as your main attack. Always use it basically as your main way for attacking. You should never use chain lightning on a hero unless they're Luke trying to stun them, or if they're at extreme, or unless they're at range and you can't quite get them with your normal attacks, that's really the only way. That's really the only times you should be using it, apart from damaging layers on a guards, or also to kill normal troopers. That's really what you should be using it for. So not much with chain lightning. His normal lightning, however, you should be using as your main attack. It deals damage. It deals damage quite fastly, so I recommend doing it. And I don't mean fastly, I mean fastly. So yeah, I do recommend his normal attacks for fighting off heroes, as they are much better than the chain lightning. The only reason you should be using chain lightning on a hero is if they're at range, or if they're Luke and you need to stun them. So yeah. Now his health. You should be always using this for when a teammate needs it, like if they're low on health or they seem about half health. This is an important part of Palpatine's playstyle. If he's not healing his teammates, he's going to, well, he's not going to be Palpatine in this game. So I recommend always healing your teammates, and always that are heroes, of course, because this can only heal heroes. And I also always recommend healing yourself if you need to heal yourself. This is an important part as well, because if you can't heal yourself, you're going to be having a ton of trouble trying to, well, you're going to have a ton of trouble trying to survive. Now you will have a harder time to begin with, probably trying to stay alive, so it is perfectly normal in my opinion to be, you could say, kind of selfish with your heal ability and just make it so only you have the health. But if you're always getting damaged and you always need health as soon as it comes out of cooldown, that does seem pretty fine. Just as long as you're not engaging in combat and not wishing your enemy, you should be doing fine. I also recommend, now onto his block, you should not really be using this a lot. Only really use it if you absolutely have to, like if you absolutely have to block blaster bolts. Really only use this if you have to block things that are out of your range, that aren't projectiles or include splash damage. A really good use for this is on the first Heroes vs Villains map on the free maps. Not DLCs, I mean, on the Outer Rim. Just make sure you're at least using your, just make sure you're always using your lightning attacks when you're up close, and make sure you're blocking an enemy fire if you can't, for when you need to get close but you can't do it without, because you need to be with your teammates. That's how it should be played. You should always move with your teammates. Now, if they decide to follow you, then that's good. You can kind of move about. You have a bit more freedom on your movement. And anyone that knows how to play the game would know to always be with Palpatine, as he is very useful when it comes to situations. So yeah, now his block, don't really use it unless you're really fighting a Luke. That's really its only use, or to block from range. However, one little tip is that if you jump and block in the air, you have infinite stamina, and you can block Luke's normal lightsaber attacks, but you can't block anything else. So you can't block Luke's force push, heavy strike, or saber rush, and you can't block anything else from anything that isn't Luke's normal that's anything that is not Luke's normal attacks. So do keep that in mind. Now, best heroes to be with. That would be that would be Vader and Bosk and Krennic. Now, if you're in an Outer Rim DLC lobby and you have all those heroes, then you're going to really be destroying the enemy team, because Krennic's quite useful for when Palpatine doesn't have the health needed to heal his teammates. Krennic can basically help with that, healing your teammates when you can't heal them, and you can also heal multiple teammates for 10 health, and you can do it pretty much immediately. It doesn't require a time to spawn it in, then you have to take it. Vader, he's very tanky, so he's a great defense for Palpatine and a great helper for him, so I always recommend staying by Vader if you can. And then Bosk, He's a very aggressive hero, he's a very good one, so I always recommend trying to be with him. So yeah, if it's no Vader or Krennic. Now I want to go over Palpatine's last thing. He has Imperial Guards that can be spawned on him. Only 2 people can spawn on him though. They use the T-21 blaster rifle, I'm pretty sure. And they have the smart rocket and the homing shots. So yeah, they can really help him attack from longer ranges that he can't get from his normal attacks or chain lightning, and ranges that he won't be able to close fast enough with his dash. Now I always kind of recommend, if you're trying to go to a very far location, to always jump up in the air. So I'll just show you a quick demonstration. I always recommend you to jump up in the air like that, and then look upwards, dash like that, and then move forwards and glides down. The glide becomes faster when you come to jumping and travelling that way, so you can get there faster. And if there's a Luke and he's trying to saber swing you, then you have a bit of a better time. However, yeah, that's basically it for Emperor Palpatine. There is one more thing I'll go on about, and that's his maps and heroes to look out for. Best maps, the swamp map, which is the Endor Swamp Crash Site map, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. The Imperial base, I think it was, on Sullust, and what was it? Oh yeah, and the Ice Caves Hoth map. Those are his best maps. They're not too big, they're not too small, they're not too close in, because Palpatine needs his room to jump. You should, however, not get engaged with combat with Luke. That's an absolute certainty. Do not engage with him unless you have a teammate. So you should not be engaging with Luke unless you absolutely have to, and you have no other choice. So yeah, you should also be looking out for Chewie. He's rather easy to kill though, as Palpatine. Just jump about him, shocking him, and you have a easy win. Just don't chain lightning him, otherwise he will die. And make sure you have more health than him from looking on your health bars. So make sure you have that, and you're pretty much going to get a guaranteed win if you're jumping about. And lastly, Lando. He's the least threatening out of these 3. And really, these are the only 3 that pose a big threat to Palpatine though. These are the ones he really will just have difficulties killing. He can kill any other hero quite easily, as long as they're within his range of his normal lightning attacks. So yeah, Lando, just make sure he doesn't have Power Blast, and make sure you have the auto dash. You should always make sure you're dashing towards your enemy, whether it's looking up and dashing. That's what I recommend trying to do. Looking up, dashing, and then you can glide down. I always recommend that. However, that's pretty much it for today's Hero Guides video. I hope you